Hello and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Your Coaches. My name is Courtney Handelin. I'm one of the health coaches at the Waukesha Employee Health and Wellness Center. And today we are making waffles. And I actually called it freezer waffles. When I make waffles, I like to make a big batch so that I can throw them in the freezer. They make a quick on-the-go breakfast, but we will talk more about that in a little bit. So, reasons for making your own waffles. There's less preservatives, less added sugar. You control how much sugar is going into them. There is also the option to add more protein and even some vegetables, which we'll get to a little bit later. Obviously, it saves money, it reduces waste, so it's more sustainable. And yeah, a lot of times, a lot of the ingredients you have at home, so that's helpful. And then, like I said, it's an easy way to make a quick on-the-go breakfast. You just do a little meal prep and cooking ahead of time, throw them in the freezer, which I'll share with you some best ways to do that. And then later on throughout the week, you've got an easy breakfast that you can grab and go and eat on the way. All right, so let's dive in. So up here you can see a recipe for whole wheat waffles. I'll also have this printed in the information box on YouTube. Today, actually, I'm not going to follow this recipe exactly because I have one of my favorite mixes to make waffles or pancakes. You can see there, it's from Edwards Mill. But otherwise, if you any waffle mix you have at home is fine. This recipe is obviously a nice healthy recipe, and this mix that I have, like I said, I like it because it is wheat mix, and it's got barley and other things like that, and there's no added sugar, so it just makes it a little bit quicker and supports a small business, of course. I also like the Kodiak waffle mix, or the one that's kind of the off-brand of that, tend to be good as well. If you are making it from scratch, which again, fantastic and just as good, sometimes even better, depending on what brand waffle mix you have. You're going to need some flour, preferably whole wheat. If you want whole wheat, a little bit healthy, a little more fiber. I should say a little healthier, and there's more fiber. Also, baking powder, salt, sugar, just a little bit of sugar. Any kind of sugar that you have is fine. It doesn't have to be white. It could be brown or coconut sugar. Less impact on the glucose there with the coconut sugar. Also an egg or an egg substitute, some milk, and either melted butter or melted vegetable oil, melted coconut oil, etc. Some additional add-ins to consider. So my favorite sneaky one would be spinach, and so I do have a bunch of chopped up spinach, just chopped up real fine. I like to add that into my waffles, just a way to sneak in some more leafy greens. My kids don't care at all. They do actually like it. My daughter knows that I put spinach in. She helps me put spinach in. But if your children or whoever eating it, or maybe even you don't want to know that there's spinach, or you want to hide it a little more, some tips would be, taking any of the thick stems out, the thick fibrous stems, so not including that in. You could save that, chop that up, and use it in, if you're making a pasta sauce, or if you're making a stir fry, save it to chuck in your smoothie, whatever you want to do. So that will help, right? That the texture will be softer and less noticeable. Like I said, chopping it up fine will also help, as well as if when it's mixed in there, it looks kind of like green sprinkles. So you could add other colored sprinkles so that it kind of blends right in. The other thing you could also do is blend up the spinach. Maybe you might need a little bit of water to puree it, and add that in with your liquid mixture, so that it's going to turn it green, which might be fun depending on the time of year, who you're giving the waffles to. But then you wouldn't have be like texture consistency issue. So like I said, additional options, spinach, highly recommend, and we can chat a little bit more about that as we go on. I also like to add chia seeds. I don't have any today. I'm all out and didn't realize that, but that will amp up the protein and the fiber. I also like to add ground flaxseed, again, for a little more protein, a little more fiber. You could add any nut butters if you want it to take on that flavor. You could add fruit puree, so like one that might be familiar to people would be like pureed pumpkin if you want it to have a pumpkin-y flavor. Or you've just got some, sweet potato mash or pumpkin that needs to be used up. Throw that in there. You could also use beets. So we'll talk about this a little bit more, but really any pureed fruit you could add to that waffle mixture, right? And then thinking about spices, so cinnamon, I especially like to add nutmeg. You could add cloves, cardamom, whatever your favorite flavor is, I guess whatever you're kind of going for if you want to jazz it up a little bit in your waffle. So while you're gathering those ingredients, I am going to move on to step 1. If you need a little bit of time to keep gathering them, feel free to hit me on pause and then come right back when you're ready to get mixing. Oh, you'll also, of course, need a waffle iron. So I've got just my favorite one here, just a little one. It makes just the right size. They end up coming out pretty close to like what a freezer waffle would be, which is really convenient for the toaster. Otherwise, whatever kind of waffle iron you have at home is just fine. So our first step is first to plug in that waffle iron so it gets hot. Depending on what your waffle iron says, you might want to spray it a little bit. And mine does say that the first round, spray it. Also, just a quick little tip here for those of you using a waffle iron that doesn't have a bottom. I like to put one of these flat little cutting boards right underneath it so that see it a little bit there, so that anything that drips out, if I go put too much in, it catches it. It just makes for an easier cleanup. So prepping the dry ingredients. So putting your flour, baking powder, salt, etc., sugar right in here, getting all that dry stuff in and whisking it together. This also is where you'll put in any cinnamon or nutmeg. I didn't put like exact measurements on this for you because I think it's really up to taste. So personally, I really like nutmeg in waffles or in pancakes, etc. I also like cinnamon. My husband is not as much of a fan, so I just put a little in because I know there's health benefits and my girls like it. And if I'm making them to have for like quick breakfast during the week, then I'll add more cinnamon because he probably won't eat that. He likes to have his oatmeal. But if I'm making them for like dinner for us, then I'll try to be mindful and do a little less cinnamon for him. But anyway, go ahead and whisk those dry ingredients together. And then you can just set that aside. And then we'll move on to prepping our wet ingredients. And the reason for prepping the dry and wet separately is because the wet takes a little more mixing, right? Like the eggs, you got to break them down and mix them together. And so we want that all to be incorporated so that once we come around to mixing the dry with the wet, we're not spending too much time mixing it and over mixing it. That really changes the texture and consistency of that waffle. So go ahead and add your milk or water, whatever you're using there. Today I am using kind of a combo, unsweetened coconut milk and then just regular milk. So just know that there's flexibility for that. Go ahead and toss your eggs in and your oil or melted butter. And then I like to add a little bit of vanilla. Again, if you have any fruit puree, you could add that here. Forgot to add flaxseed with the dry. So I'm just gonna add it to the wet, which will be just fine. And again, I don't measure it out. I just kind of pour it in, whatever looks good. And if you want a specific measurement, I would say like a tablespoon probably to start. As you work with flaxseed more, you'll kind of be able to tell what fits your preference best. Other things, if you want it to be sweet, you're going to eat it on the go, but you want it to be a little sweeter, you might want to just add a little fresh real maple syrup to that wet bowl mixture right now. It'll give it a little more flavor. When eating it on the go, obviously you're probably not eating it with syrup. Actually, my girls very rarely eat it with syrup. We usually do just a little bit of peanut butter on top, and then they really like to add some whipped cream, fresh whipping cream on top, and a little bit of sprinkles. So if we're eating it on the go, then they just get peanut butter, or sometimes even just the warmed up waffle. And then go ahead and add spinach if you're doing that. Like I said, I highly recommend it. Such an easy way to get more greens in, and you won't even notice. And then you're just going to mix. The biggest thing here is making sure that you've broken up the eggs and incorporated those. And like I said, the flaxseed you could mix into the liquids or the dry. That doesn't really matter so much. It's really more the mixture of breaking up the eggs, getting those mixed in with the other liquids before you add it in. So I'm going to go ahead and put that whisk to the side so you can kind of see the watery mixture there. Oh, and you know what I didn't add was vanilla. So again, I'm just gonna add a little bit of vanilla here. Again, not measuring, probably about a teaspoon if you want to measure. Otherwise, I just like to eyeball it. Give it a little splash. Give that a little mix. And pour that straight into the middle. And let me grab, forgot, might need this. I just like to switch over to a rubber spatula then at this point. Makes it a little easier for incorporating it without overbeating it. So just gonna mix till it's just mixed in, like I said, not overdoing it. But you don't want to have a bunch of dry powder all over the place either. So as we move through this, a little bit later I will talk about some other ideas for using your waffle maker. But while I'm mixing here, I just want to give the heads up that there are so many ways that we can use a waffle iron. And most of us, myself included, probably don't use it as much as we could for just quick, easy things. Like I said, when you prep it, then it's easy to freeze them and toss. Then it becomes like an easy grab and go. Just heat it up as you need it. And so when I make waffles, I usually make a double batch, like I said. Or sometimes I will make what we need for dinner, and then after that I'll just whip up another batch and make some more that I can toss in the freezer. Okay, so that's pretty good. I think I've broken up all the big flour clumps. You can see here now it is liquidy, and it is definitely a drip batter, right? It's pretty drippy. So grab yourself a little scoop. And really, I think a key thing here, so that you're not making too much of a mess, is figuring out for your waffle maker how much you need to put in there. So let me move ahead. So my iron is hot. I'm going to go ahead and scoop it in. You want to fill it up, but not too much, because then you get the leakage over the sides. Go ahead and pop it down, and then just cook it to per whatever your iron's instructions are. Every iron can be a little bit different. So while that's in there, I'm just going to talk a little bit about freezing them. and hopefully I don't lose track of this and it burns, but to freeze them, like I said, it's super easy. You just, once you cook them, put them on a lined baking sheet. So either with parchment paper, or I've got these little silicone things that you can put down. I put them all on here. Once it's full, I pop it in the freezer for about 30 minutes or so. And then I just put them into a freezer bag or a freezer container. Make sure to label them so I know what it is, though usually you can see pretty well what it is. And that's it. So super easy. Like I said, the longest part is just the making them, especially with this one, because it just makes one little one at a time. But it's a, the in-between is a good time to get some push-ups in or wash some dishes or whatever it may be that I can do to keep myself busy while also kind of watching this. So hopefully that was helpful. Let's go ahead and that's still going. Okay, so talking about other things that you can make with your waffle iron or in the world of waffles, first not posted on here would be omelets. You can make omelets in there just like you make regular waffles. And I personally have not tried this yet, but I would think they would freeze pretty well as well, just like if you make those mini egg muffins. And those freeze really well. Okay, there's my thing. Let me grab my little flippy thing here. And tray. Okay, so I'll just pop that on there. So there you can see, maybe if I can hold it up, you can see a little bit of green speckled through there, but it just looks like sprinkles. And if I hold this up to you there, you can kind of see just sprinkles. And when you're chewing, you can't tell at all. Also fun thing to add to waffles, of course, would be something like little chocolate chips, or cut up fruit, blueberries, whatever you have around to use up. But like I said, speaking of other things you can make in your waffle iron, there's different kinds of waffles. So here you see truffles. That's actually a recipe from Jill Zimmerman, one of our PAs, that she uses all the time, and they are delicious and freeze really well. Really good if you're on a low-carb diet. You'll notice there it says a 4th cup shredded cheese, 1 tablespoon of almond flour, and 1 egg. So that'll get you a couple chaffles or cheese waffles. And you could, jazz that up too with your own herbs and spices if you wanted. I like to add some like chopped green onions or chives if we have them, leeks, spinach again. Another one in there is shredded zucchini and parmesan, so a good way to use up zucchini if you have a lot. And then one that I'm really excited to try, I have to say I haven't yet, but I will be this season, is beet waffles. So look how pretty and pink they are. And each of these, they're recipes that I found online, so those will be linked in the video as well. But the beet waffles, it did say it's best, you get the most sweetness from the beets if you roast the beets first, slip the skins off, and then puree them to make in the waffle so pink. I am looking forward to making those this year once we get beets in season here. And I'm thinking my girls will love them. They'll love the color. Some other ideas to use your waffle iron would be refreshing your leftovers. So if you have leftover pasta dish or rice, throw that in there and make it, smash it into a waffle instead. It becomes portable again, but also just kind of a fun way to recreate food that, like maybe you ate the leftovers already once or maybe even twice, and you're trying to figure out how can I recreate this so it doesn't go to waste and we can eat it, but it's not like we're eating the same thing every night. So that's a fun thing to do. Also, sweet potatoes. If you have sweet potatoes lying around that you need to use up, that can be a way. You don't even need to mix it with anything. Just put it right in there and smash it. It gets like crispy and golden. And obviously, if you add like egg to that sweet potato, it's going to help it stick together a little bit more. So it really just depends on the recipe, or I'm sorry, what you're looking for in the end. And then The last thing that I saw in there that I thought was a really cool idea, I saw this online, was using leftover steel cut oats. So maybe add a little bit of cinnamon to your steel cut oats, or something, maple syrup, something to give it a little bit of sweetness, a little more flavor if you want, and then just plop those in there and push it in, and it'll get, again, a little bit crispy. Adding an egg might help to increase the sticking power to hold the form, if you are making it into a portable thing, and obviously would increase the protein as well. So lots of fun options, lots of fun things we can do with our waffle irons, and again, great ways to increase our vegetables while we're eating fun foods like waffles. So thank you for cooking with me today. I hope you enjoy your waffles and enjoy the other fun, inspirational recipe ideas. Be sure to check us out on YouTube for more fun cooking demonstrations like this, as well as we have a lot of meditations, exercises, stretching, you name it. Also, be sure to check out our podcast, Taco About Wellness. Anywhere you get your podcast, just search for Taco About Wellness. We've got new episodes coming out every month. Sometimes we even have bonus episodes. And be on the lookout for our Chopped Challenge. The registration will open in July, and that challenge will run in August. Also, our Wellness Center people, if you are interested in coaching, please contact Tasha or myself. We are meeting telephonically, virtually, in our office, outside on picnic tables, out for a walk, whatever you need, we're happy to accommodate, and we love to hear from you. So I hope you have a great day. I look forward to seeing how you do with cooking your waffles and what fun creativity you come up with. Be sure to send your fun ideas our way or post in the comments about this, and I'll see you next time.